Everyone wishes to live their best life. We experiment with various ways to achieve that, whether it is through study, competing, finding a partner, working hard, or admiring someone who inspires you. It is the quality of our inner being that does it all, or grapples with fulfilling life's calling. For the past 20 years, the Brahma Kumaris in Washington, D.C. has been a space for any and everyone to enter into and experience one's soul calling. From 1997, the center opened in an old rickety house on Georgia Avenue in Silver Spring, Maryland, where cars and trucks that passed by would shake the space. But when you were inside, it was a peaceful and powerful sanctuary for all who visited. Since then, over 2,500 events, 17 city and nationwide initiatives, 21 awards, 2 meditation museums have served youths, senior citizens, entrepreneurs, scientists, authors, women, interfaith, the disabled, environment, small businesses, arts seekers, and even leaders. Millions of lives have been served, either through social media, the popular America Meditating radio show, or through exhibitions, lectures, partnerships, and programs held in the meditation museums and centers. We look at 20 years of service as a continued journey of love, courage, wisdom, and determination with friends from diverse backgrounds and thought, who believe a better world is possible when we make ourselves better human beings. Meditation is an important tool that helps us to gain greater clarity, insights, and inner power so we can make healthy choices and amplify our capacity to live a full life. In times of great anxiety, insecurity, and fear, meditation is an essential practice for everyone to gain stability and inner strength. Just look at what a few dedicated, purposeful, and kind group of committed people have been able to achieve in 20 years. Thanks to everyone who have supported us along the way. And thanks in advance to those who believe in our work and power of intent. Brahma Kumaris Meditation Museums, where peace is inside. Om Shanti, everyone, and hello. I'm Sister Jenna from America Meditating Radio and the Brahma Kumaris Meditation Museums. I can't be more thrilled than to let you know that on July 7th, See the Good program will be launched along with See Good TV. Oh boy, you're in for such a treat. Programs that are going to be raising you up and building your morale and making you feel like you can push through these particular times. If you want to see Marianne Williamson, Michael Beckwith, Sister Genti from the Brahma Kumaris, so many amazing personalities, Louis Gossett Jr., Dr. Habib Sagedi, Dr. Fujan Zain, Dr. Andrea Pennington, Lexi Brockway Potamkin, the list goes on. And if you don't know who those people are, you're missing something. So join us on July 7th for See the Good program that is also launching See Good TV. See you then. Om Shanti. As I sit here in quiet reflection, I'm reminded how my thoughts create my reality. I've accepted that I am what I am because of what I think. So what if for this moment I choose to let go of my various attachments to physical forms that have limited my potential and my capacity. What if I chose to be free from limitations of thinking? So just for a little while, I invite you to take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. And imagine for a moment, what if I no longer had an attachment to my name? How would that feel? What if I let go of the awareness of the gender? What if I let go of the roles that I play, the titles that I own? What if I decided to release thinking of myself as a religion, a language, a nationality? What if I choose to just let go of the name, gender, role, title, religion, language, nationality, and let go of the awareness of the body? How would I feel? Who would think of me in this awareness? And who would I think of? I would think of God. And God's remembrance would fall on me. And I, the living soul, would be completely free. Let me just sit in this moment for a little longer and just be free. Now gently bring back the awareness of your gender, language, nationality, title, role, name, religion, whatever. Bring it back to your awareness and see if you can bring the experience of freedom and peace as you go out into the world and play your various parts. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Fourth of July, everyone, and Om Shanti. Nice to have you and nice to be with you on this day that we're supposed to be celebrating our independence. There are a lot of mixed feelings right now in the country. There are some folks who feel like they don't feel so good being an American right now, and there's some who are like, yippee, this is what we stand for. Who's right, who's wrong? Everyone's right. Whatever your feelings are at that particular time, it's right. But what is independence? You know, what really is independence? Isn't it supposed to be that my mind feels free? My heart is clean, my motives are pure. Because if the heart's not clean and if the motives aren't pure, am I really free? There is no way I can be free if my motives are mixed and my heart isn't clean and I've got issues going on. It's not going to be, there's no way I'm free. Today's discussion on tolerance, I was telling Santosh, I go, this isn't my best power to talk about. Not because I think I'm intolerant, it's just, I don't know, it's like, you have to just deal with life. Yes, there's certain things you just don't like, but you just have to deal with it, you know? That's kind of my attitude. But I have been in certain situations where I feel like I don't have the inner strength to accept the situation. I'm just not in my most fruitful season, shall we say. I'm taxed. The situation, the relationship, the person is asking me to be more. And at the moment that they're asking me to be more, I just don't have it. I don't have the tolerance for it. You see? So that means internally I'm not so solid. Like internally I am lacking something at that particular time. I've looked at the word tolerance, and I've looked at the word tolerate, and I've seen like tolerate means it's like, to what extent do I have the rate to deal with the toll of what's going on in my life? One of the 8 spiritual powers in the Brahma Kumari's teachings I'm going to share with you is actually the power to tolerate. And this is what it says. The power to tolerate is the ability to respond to external and internal events positively, yet not be affected by them. Power of tolerating everything. This is one of the most special and useful powers of the soul, and using this power we can live a happy life free from conflicts in relationships. To tolerate means to remain in peace with any situation that we have to face. There is always a positive way to think about what you're going through. So tolerate doesn't mean just not to speak, nor to not react. It means to respond, but to respond in a right manner, such that we do not give pain or hurt to another person, but it also means that we don't take pain or hurt from anyone. Yes, sometimes remaining quiet will also help, as long as in your quietude you are not having waste thoughts. The power to tolerate. How many of us have had to use this power over and over again in our lives? How many of you raised teenagers? And mothers, speak honestly, how much have you felt, oh, I've had to tolerate my child like you wouldn't believe? And in the midst of dealing with your teenager, is it that you were tolerating, but if you went down deeply and you were more honest with yourself, didn't you feel deep inside you wish you had the power to influence your teenager to do the right thing? I've been in that position. When you're in a position of leadership for so long, Sometimes you don't want to have to tell someone what to do and what not to do. Your deepest wish is that there's a power developed in you that the individual automatically will know what to do at the right time and with the right motives. Example, I used to remember when I would go to India, to Mount Abu with the Brahma Kumaris in Rajasthan. We, of course, before the lockdown, we would go once or twice a year for our annual retreat and annual meetings for all the Brahma Kumaris centers around the world. And we would have this profound meeting on the mountaintop with God, with Baba. And there'd be thousands of us in the hall. And I'll explain to you my first experience when I went to India. It was in the early 90s. And I was in a hall of about 3,000 people, 2,800 or so. And as I sat on the floor in the hall, there was a stage. There was one of our senior yogis known as Dadi Gulza. And she's also known as the one who could really bring the message forward, you know, the one who God would use to speak through. You know, she just had this, there was this purity about her that when you went in front of her presence, you got quiet because she was a very quiet person. But at the time that I went for the first time, I had just finished closing up my clubs and, you know, closing up a little of the mundane way that I used to live. And I wasn't actually thinking I was closing. I had just left it, gone to India for my time and retreat and meeting and reconnection, and then to come back to carry on with my life. That was the plan. That was the plan. So here I am in India. I'm sitting in a hall of about 28 to 3,000 people. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering really well, it was about 2,500 to be exact. And I'm about 3 rows on the floor, right in the center, right in the front. So it's like I'm not even 10 feet from the stage. And there's some sisters in the front here. Then there was another, and then there was me, right? So I'm not even 10 feet from the stage. And then Dadi Gulza, who I'd mentioned, she had come out, she sat, she has this presence. And we're all sitting in yoga. We're all sitting in Baba's remembrance. This was my first encounter. This was my first time. And I sat there, and my heart is beating out of my chest. And I'm having to tolerate in the deepest resources of my subconscious, of my mind, there were these visuals of everything that I had done against my peace. I don't know what's going on. I'm just sitting in the room. Sister Gita says you're going to love it. I'm there. I have a feeling I'm going to reconnect to God. I'm going to have a powerful experience with God and with Baba. And I'm sitting there, and on my left is a teenager, and my right's another young sister. And she's like, "Don't worry, Jen. You know, Baba's a cool dude. Don't worry." And I'm like, Jesus, how did I end up with these people around me? At the same token, my heart is beating out of my chest. Dadi's on the stage. I'm aware something is going to happen to me. I can feel it. The nervousness was so intense. The visuals of what was happening in my mind were so intense. It was like everything I had done that I can't even remember I did was just coming like that. Like, remember those days when you do a paper and you do the cartoon character and you would, you'd flip the papers like this, and then you would draw these little animated things and it looked like they were dancing and moving. So as I'm watching this scene, my heart is pouncing out of my chest. These 2 innocent sisters are not the most mature folks for me to be talking to about what I'm going through. I'm watching a few of the other people in front of me, and they're just still. Their eyes are gently opened. There's a moistness in their eyes. And I kind of look around, and I'm the only one messed up. Like, I'm not going to make this. I couldn't tolerate the visuals I was having up here. I just couldn't. And so what I was deciding to do is that I would just get up. I can't. So in my mind, I was saying, I'm not going to be able to meet Baba. I won't be able to meet Baba. And as I'm getting up from the floor, I don't know what it was, but as the energy kind of hovered through Daddy Gulzar's body and started to send this wave of peace and love through her eyes, I just went, and I sat back down like that. And I was like, what is that? And the energy that was like this, like a magic dust, just flew over me, just waved all over me. And at that moment, everything was okay. And nothing mattered. Absolutely nothing mattered. So where I was outside of my skin, because I couldn't deal with my own story in my head, I'm in a hall of 2,000 devotees of lovers of God. And here I am like the heathen. Won't be able to do it. And this gentle, pure energy becomes present with Daddy Gulzar and waves this breath of pure energy over me. It says, I don't care what you've done, but you do. I am God, the Supreme Energy, and my only duty here is to love you so fiercely that you don't even remember your past. That's what tolerance does. Because what I felt from that meeting was I couldn't tolerate my story of the past. They weren't all pretty. But when Baba entered the space, he was so full of love. The energy was so full of love. Couldn't care less. And I witnessed that, and I have experienced it, and I've lived it as my proof. And when people will tell me about God, or they'll tell me about what their interpretation of things are with themselves, or they might come and tell me how bad they are, or I love the stories of those who come and say how good they are and how they're better than everyone else. Those are the best. I sit there sometimes and I just look, and inside of me is this memory of how much Baba has tolerated me with love and with no complaints and no expectations that I needed to be a better version. But it was just Baba's love that would signal to me, I've got to find the power to accept my own story. And I have to find the power to move on and let go with love everything from the past. You see, what happens when we're not able to tolerate, I suspect, and I think this is true, the past is still draining the soul of its powers. And we might not know that the past is still using us. The past is still stealing from us. The past is still putting a fog over our eyes that we can't see the value and the worth of who we are very clearly. So when an event, a situation, or a relationship shows up and it doesn't go my way, and it doesn't reveal the kind of visuals or feelings that I want from it. And instead, it gives me a curveball, and it says, you have to give me more of you. And you ever notice when the event, the situation, or the relationship is trying to pull something from you, and you find that you don't have the love to give to that situation or person, then you will hear yourself echoing this mantra, I just can't tolerate it. I can't deal with it. Or here is a superior, egotistical way of defining your power to tolerate. You will say to your friends or to your family, I've tolerated so much from this person. I've been married to this man for so long. You know how much I've tolerated from him? Like it's a big deal. You see how we work? So two ways of looking at tolerance. I can't tolerate this anymore. Inferiority. Still an arrogant thing. But you're saying I can't tolerate means I don't have it to give. Here's the other way. I've tolerated so much, and you think that you've given a lot, but even to say that with that superiority is to say you are still giving from a place of deception. So of course, when the person, the relationship, or the event doesn't go your way, you know what it shows you and me? We still need more power. It says, I need more fullness in my spirit. I need Baba more. Everyone, can I tell you that that day changed my life? I was about to get up and leave that room. I couldn't tolerate what I was feeling inside my head. And when the energy of that love just blessed the space, it was like, I'm okay. And for 3 days in Mount Abu in Madhaban at the Brahma Kumaris, my home there, away from many homes, I was a different version. I didn't think about my past anymore. My past was irrelevant. Who I was, what I did, what I didn't do, what I should have done. You think I cared? I was present. And the only energy that was working through me was Baba's love. And it was all I needed. I could tolerate the Himalayas falling down. I'd be like, how do we lift it up? It didn't matter. I remember driving that same trip. I had driven to Shotan, Rajasthan, which was about maybe 10 hours drive in that particular area of the country. Very, very arid land, dry, desert. I remembered when I got to our destination, we went to a little village. There must have been about maybe 300 villagers sitting there. It was hot as anything because it was in the month of April. And I didn't sweat one bit. I was in so much bliss. And that's what love can do. Because if that love wasn't in me, I'd be like, oh my God, how much longer I got to tolerate? When are we going to get there? You know, how much more is this drive? Or I'd be like, I can't tolerate this heat. Didn't matter. It's sort of like Santosh, remember when we used to drive to Miami? Sometimes we, Sister Gita used to have a little place there. And after my big Sunday morning classes, sometimes we would just look at each other and go, you want to go to Miami? Yeah, let's go. And everyone in the community would say to us, how can you just get in the car and drive to Miami? It's not like Miami is 2 hours away. It's 15, 16 hours away. And the three of us would drive totally fine. And we would reach the same day too, and wouldn't get a ticket. I remembered when we had a sister visiting us from Germany, and we said, come on, Gudrun, you want to go to Miami? She's like, oh, where's Miami? Oh, it's very nice. There's a lot of beaches. Come on with us. So she got in the car and she's really happy. So the first 2 hours, she's really happy. Wow, so how much longer?
I go, oh, we're almost there. This is 2 hours driving through. So she's like, 4 hours. You know, Jenna, it's kind of long. I mean, how far is this place? We're almost there. Trust me, we're almost there. 10 hours are left. So by the time it's like 8 hours, 9 hours, she's like, so what, Miami's far? We know she's German and she's visiting us for a while. So I was like, it's not really far, but trust me, Gudrun, we're almost there. Okay, so 7, 8 p.m. is coming. She's like, are we ever going to get there, Jen? Remember Santosh? She's like, she had actually gotten quiet by the 7, 8 o'clock at night. And by that time, Sister Gita is happy as a lark. Santosh and I are just in bliss. We love to listen to Buddha Bar when we're like getting close to Miami. That's when we put on our Buddha Bar music. So then she's wondering, why are we so happy? And then she says, I'm scared to ask you, Jenna, but please tell me we're almost there. And I said, honestly, we're like 30 minutes. Oh, thank you, Dankeschön. And I thought about it because when Santosh and I looked at each other, I go, is the ride really that horrible? Because I'm having a ball. So the moral of my story is 4 passengers in a car going to the same destination. Each person started out really happy. Later on, Sister Gita got a little influenced by Gudrun. She was like, yes, Jen, when are we going to get there? I was just looking at Sister Gita in the rearview mirror. Hold up. We do this all the time. Do not do this. Do not start this. But we got to where we needed to go because of love. So there are 2 ways, right? You can tolerate because you feel like there's... Let me go back. Your tolerance lacks when there is expectation. And of course it's not fulfilled. Your tolerance lacks when your motives are mixed. And you hear me talk about this all the time. Your tolerance lacks when you emotionally, mentally, physically, you're just not in a good place. Your tolerance lacks when there just isn't enough knowledge and information, which is connected to the expectation. Now, when is your tolerant abundant? When you understand that you are in a drama and everything is fixed, there's nothing to complain about. When does your tolerance become pretty solid? When there's love in your heart for yourself, When does the tolerance really become a power and it's a force? When there's been an intimate, deep relationship with God over a long time. And the experience of that intimate, deep relationship with God fills you. And so whatever you need to go through karmically, you can manage. You can manage. Your tolerance is full when you recognize that whenever the drama or a scene or a relationship offers you an opportunity to apply it, you recognize that each time you apply tolerance to the scene or the situation, you are amplifying your love. We've misunderstood tolerance to be something that you execute out of compulsion. I don't call it tolerance. I call that attachment mixed into tolerance, because if you have tolerance, you can cope. If you don't have tolerance, then you can't. So when you say, and I'm sure we've heard ourselves done this, I've heard myself say it, I've tolerated so much, I just can't handle it anymore. You're really being honest with yourself, because the soul is saying, I can't handle it anymore. I'm not full enough. I hope I'm speaking clearly to everyone tonight, and it's being very helpful, because especially in these particular times that we're in, how much more of staying home do we need? How much more of not being able to be with friends with trust and faith and to hug someone or to be affectionate? How much longer do we 6 feet of social distancing? You go out, everyone's wearing a mask, and you see everyone's eyes or everyone's drishti, which is gorgeous. I mean, when you just see someone's eyes and you're only communicating with their eyes, you just talk to their spirit. You don't care about what they're wearing, what's behind their nose or their mouth or however their shaped faces. All you see are those eyes. And all you can communicate are with eyes. In a way, I've been liking that. But still, it's kind of odd to wear this mask and try to get your breath in this cloth, It doesn't feel normal. It feels kind of odd. So I'm going to show you a meditation video on tolerance to assist us in this very needed virtue of our time, and a tolerance with love, not out of any sort of a compulsion or attachment, but just a power in the soul, no? Just to have this power in the soul. And if you have any questions when you come back, feel free to raise them, and we'll continue with our evening. The power to tolerate. I take a deep breath, very deep, and in the bottom of my heart, deep within me flows a rose-colored energy that unfolds like a snail, covering me, filling me with peace. This is the power to tolerate. I recognize that sometimes I experience feelings of rejection, animosity, or other negativity that makes me feel so bad. Nevertheless, the rose energy keeps expanding and is so strong that it gives me the necessary power to change the perception and interpretation of what I feel. Ego, pain, hostility and anger diminish, and the energy of the power to tolerate makes me feel patient, with a great capacity to understand and have compassion, starting with myself. I become the detached observer of my own emotions, my feelings, my mistakes, and then I accept that I have an enormous capacity to love everyone. This pure love comes from a pristine place where I'm able to forgive myself for all I have allowed to harm me, for the lack of respect and loss of dignity that made me reach this point. I decide, shadows or light. The light of hope hasn't extinguished yet. I am love. I am forgiveness. I am purity of intention,
and so I deserve to be happy. I am a being that God, the Source, loves and accepts. I decide to continue giving with respect and dignity. This is the power to tolerate. Feel the power.
Om Shanti. So I hope that meditation sort of assisted as well into the deeper meaning of the energy of tolerance. Huh? It kind of makes it a little bit more helpful. All right. Anyone has any thoughts they'd like to share regarding some of the thoughts that I shared tonight? Because I know it's an energy we all need to execute. And Kirit, I didn't hide the hours to Gudrun when we were taking her to Miami. We told her that Miami is at the end of the East Coast and that we're going the other way. It's a few hours. That's what we told her. So even as we were a little hours away, she wanted to find out how it was going. All right, so any thoughts anyone has? Any questions? Any realizations from the session tonight? Did anything open up your hearts, anyone? Julio, I feel also that tolerance is like dancing. That is, if one of the soul loves dancing and the other soul does not follow the rhythm, one soul may get lots of kicks and ouches because love is there. That's a nice one. Tolerating becomes part of the dance until the rhythm is followed. The kicks do not longer hurt. That's very beautiful, Julio. Very nice, very poetic. Well said. Hi, Oi. Happy 4th of July. Brother Santosh will call you later for something really important. So, or you can call him after the session. Okay, any thoughts from anyone? Anything else? On Facebook, anyone there? Anyone got any questions they'd like to ask? All right, because I really think it's really important. Right now, America, for example, is going through a lot of tolerance, wouldn't you say? And we're dealing with a lot of different issues at bay. And sometimes we can't tolerate what we're witnessing on the news or what we're hearing in what's going on in Congress. Sometimes we can't even tolerate the people that we're living with. Why? We're not taking care of the self. Something still inside is missing. Something's not serving the spirit at a deeper level. So DMK, Om Shanti, nice to have you. Welcome to the tribe of your spiritual vaccine. Taking care of yourself, I hope. I'm looking well. All right, so no more questions. Yeah, we're good. Zora, Om Shanti. So you must master tolerance for yourself before you can tolerate others. Well, through others, you will learn to master yourself because you'll be able to see what's going on inside of you at a deeper level by the triggers you get being with people. A lot of times we feel like if we just stay by ourselves, we can cope and deal with ourselves. I knew a sister, it was one of our students many years ago, and she says, "Oh, I'm fine. I mean, I'm so peaceful, and I'm even more peaceful when I'm by myself. It's just that I can't tolerate people." So what the soul was communicating is, I'm fine only with my own energy, but when my energy gets involved with other people, I don't have the strength. But it's through the people that we start to build the strength to tolerate more, because we know deep inside, we know we've got what it takes. We just need some practice. You won't become an expert at anything unless you practice. So our human relations are actually a practicing field. It's a play field. And they help us to know more about who we are and what we're up to. It's painful at times, but sometimes pain will move the cursor forward rather than just being in a comfort zone. All right. So, anybody else to share anything? Any other thoughts? Zora, I hope that helped you with your answer. Was that okay? All right. So since we don't have a lot of questions yet, why don't we take a few moments, and I'd like us to pay tribute to the United States and to recognize that we are approaching, just within the next few months, what might be a pretty strained campaign for presidents, for the presidency. And 3.5 years ago, we encountered a different form of politicking. And it, in some ways, to some individuals in our country, which are our brothers and sisters, and they didn't use their discerning powers, they looked at it as entertainment, even though it was very crass and quite rude and derogatory. And as we now approach another presidential campaign, we're going to need to tolerate a lot of what we see and hear in the media, in the news, with each other and family and friends. And we're going to need to apply tolerance, which really, for me, we're going to need to apply a lot of love. So in the next few months, I think it's about 4 months or so, we're going to be asked to go to the voting polls. And this is Independence Day, 4th of July, where individuals fought for the freedom that we so-called say we have now. And as we review documents, and as we review our Constitution, and we review our Bill of Rights and preamble, there are questions about how authentic is it really in terms of the ideal of this country and what this country actually stands for in an ideal. And that there was a particular part where we have been on the journey of trying to fulfill that ideal, only to encounter that sometimes it's a rough road to not just freedom, but to sustain freedom. My compassion increases when I witness both sides suffering. Whether you're black or white, there is a hurt or a pain there on both sides. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, there is a pain there in both. And I ask you that as we approach these next few months, let us meditate the vote and come from a meditative place to decide what will be the next 4 years like. And I'm not saying these 4 years were bad, and I'm not saying they were good. I'm keeping a neutral stance because sensitivities are so intense right now. I know what my heart says. My heart says we must speak with dignity, because I live my life like that. My heart says I might have a point to make, but I don't have to lose my respect when I speak to you, that I can speak to you with respect. My heart says that running the most powerful country in the world isn't like going to auntie's home. It's not an easy job. So I would need an army of people who genuinely care about the well-being of its longevity. My heart says that that's what's needed. You can't be in control of such a mammoth of a country and not realize the intense responsibility that comes with it. So my heart says, meditate your vote this year as we think about what's the vision that you have for the United States of America. And what's the goodness that you wish to see in your own heart and in this country? Because if we don't meditate the vote, which was an initiative I also launched about 3.5 years ago, and I thought it was an important initiative that asked really important questions, because it's in the asking of the questions you can get to the root of who you are. But I suspect that for the next few months and beyond, we will need this virtue and we will need this power of tolerance, but not a tolerance out of compulsion, a tolerance out of love, in order to amplify our presence for our families, but also for our country. So Santosh is about to play this beautiful song that was sung by Kristen Hoffman, who did the Om Shanti song that we played a few weeks ago. And this was in collaboration with an initiative that I started 3.5, 4 years ago called Meditate the Vote. If you'd like some more information on that, just go to americameditating.org. That's America, not American, America meditating.org. And go to the ACT page and you'll see some of our initiatives that are continuous and still moving on. So enjoy. Santosh will play it now and tell me what you think when you come back. And it's 4th of July, so let's celebrate and enjoy.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's
I pledge
last
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
broad stripes and bright stars through the
A huge cheer, then singing as the decision reaches the crowd out front.
You have no clue what the hell it feels like to be black in this country.
we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets
Pope Francis was known for reaching out to marginalized communities.
bursting in air gave proof through the night.
So what do you think of a Muslim and a Jewish guy walking together?
I think it's great.
It's great?
I think we get along. It's great.
Oh, say does that star
Well, this is a perfect opportunity for you to try some active listening.
yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, so I hope that that kind of tweaked your interest. So feel free to go on to americameditating.org for more information on Meditate the Vote. And Kristen's voice is so beautiful and so powerful, isn't it? That it just gets right in there. We've been going through a lot as a country and as a nation, and I sometimes question our resilience and our ability to continue like this. But we're souls, and the soul is resilient naturally, and the soul is eternal, and the soul is powerful, and the soul is a child of God, and the soul has purity and peace in it. And now the drama, the destiny, the universe is calling each and every one of us. Amplify your inner power, amplify your inner dignity and your purity, so that we can move this thing forward and really begin to show that love is the way and love is the key. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, and please be safe if you happen to be going out. Please take care of yourself. Don't drink too much. Just take it easy. Have some good conversations with the family. Oh, there's something I want to share that Durga's son made as a comment, which I believe he's only about 12. Listen to this. From Akashe. He says what tolerance means to him is tolerance is an understanding of the thoughts that belong to you and the person in front of you as they belong to the same universe. Wow. Talk about that is powerful stuff. Akshay, you are such a jewel. Thank you so much. Asmita, Indu, Louise, Sora, Sharanya, nice to have you today. Blessed Life, nice to have you with us. Aditi, it was great to see you and Dad today. And sending again more blessings to Mom as she has moved on. Mateo, nice to have you. Yes, V, good. I'm glad you had a wonderful Learn to Meditate on Zoom. So we'll be forwarding your email to Sister Suja. So I'm glad you did a great job. Hina, thanks for coming by. It was great having you today. Bill, good to have you. Kailash, Shobha, Rashmi, the whole gang. Hadia, nice to have you. Lots of blessings. Happy 4th of July to all of you. And stay calm, stay sweet, stay beautiful, stay pure, stay powerful. Have a great night.
What future do you want humanity to live in?
And how will you see the good?
The divine feminine principle really is inclusion, community, collaboration.
For the first time in history, we have millions of people around the world awakening at the same moment.
This is a time where we can reassess everything.
We now share a collective experience,
bringing forward a much needed human wisdom, which is also very spiritual.
Where people embrace each other for their strength of character.
I see the good in people wanting to make a contribution for the betterment of this planet and stepping up in unique, creative, and powerful ways.
The world of the future is going to be the golden age.